What is up, guys? It is Brandon of Brandon's Films, and today I have something very highly requested from a lot of my followers on Twitter and some of my photography friends in general. I am doing a tutorial. Now, I've been doing a lot of photography lately, and if you didn't know that, well, you should follow me at Brandon's Films on Instagram and Twitter. But I've been doing a lot of photography, and whenever I started off, I wasn't that great at it. And arguably, you could still say that I'm not that great at it. But luckily for me, I have learned a few tips and tricks to make me better and progress slightly. And so I want to share those with you. And so in this tutorial, I am going to be showing you guys how to frequency separate with frequency separation. That was a little redundant. But so basically, I have my model for today, Taylor. Taylor, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but back whenever I took this picture, I had no idea what I was doing as far as frequency separation goes, and I didn't even know what it was, honestly. I just heard people talking about it. So basically, what is it? What it is basically a way to make skin glow. At least that's the simplest way to put it. Like I said, I'm not a great photographer, so I really have no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, so we're gonna be able to hide any blotchiness of skin, any discoloration, make it smooth and glow. If your skin's oily, like this subject right here, due to like sweat or anything like that, this should be able to clean it up and make it more beautiful than it already is. And let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Once you're done in Lightroom applying your presets or whatever you're doing, just editing, you are actually going to go to Photo, Edit in, and then Edit in Adobe Photoshop CC 2019. And so it'll open up in Photoshop, and basically what we're going to do from here is create 2 extra copies of the image. By on Mac you can do this by pressing Command J, or on Windows you can do it with Control J. So just to make it easier on you and to help you follow the process a little easier, we're going to name the first layer Texture, and we are going to rename the second layer Blur. Alright, and so that should give you a pretty good idea of what the first step is. We are going to hide texture and make sure that blur is active by clicking on the actual image right here and make sure it's visible. So we are going to blur this layer. We're going to go to the filter tab up here, go down to blur, and we're going to apply a Gaussian blur. Alright, and so basically what we're going to shoot for here is basically hide the pores but don't hide the image. So you want to make sure that you can still see everything, but at the same time make sure that the skin looks all smooth and whatnot. And yeah, so I'm gonna put it about 9.9. I'd say that's good. It's gonna vary based on your image and whatnot, so just make sure that you got the right setting. You can play around with it, and once you're done with that, hit OK, and we are done with the blur layer for now. So now we are going to make the texture layer active by clicking on it right here and make sure it is visible. And so now we have the same original image. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the image tab and then go down to apply image. And so this is what would happen if you have it set up properly already, but chances are you don't. It's going to be an either normal, but I think for some people it'll actually be on multiply. So basically what we're going to want to do is just change the blending mode to subtract, and then you want to change the scale to 2 and the offset to 128. That way you're not stuck here with a black screen. And so whenever you change those settings, it will be a solid gray screen just like this, but you're going to want to change the targeted layer to the blur. And so yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, it's going to look like this, and then change it to blur, and now we have an imprint of the original image in the gray thing. So we're going to hit OK, and that looks great. Alright, we're done. No, I'm kidding. So what we're going to want to do with this texture layer is blend it in to the blur layer below by going to the blend mode down here, and we're going to put it on linear light. And now we have what looks like the same image, but we are now able to make changes that are necessary to making this thing look beautiful. Alright, so now we're going to make sure that the blur layer is selected and active. So now we want to zoom in to wherever we decide needs to be frequency separated or smoothened or anything like that. So for demonstration purposes, I'm not gonna go too detailed. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I am. Alright, so we are going to go along the ridge of the nose right here, maybe down into the cheek a little, right under the eye, and make it join back there. Alright, and so what we are going to do here is we are going to go to select, and mask. Alright, and so now it will be on just regular, the regular mode right here. We're going to click right here on view and put it on overlay, so everything that is not selected turns red. And for technical terms, I don't know how to explain this to you, so I apologize in advance, but we're going to bump the feather up to where it looks roughly like this. Yeah, so I don't know what to tell you. It's going to vary per image, or, you know. So we're just going to go with a, you know, a nice feathered look. We don't want to see any of the edges. We just want it to be nice and blurred towards the edges. And so we are actually going to copy this number. Make sure you remember it because it's going to be very crucial. 20.9 pixels. Alright, so we are going to cancel that. We do not actually want to apply that, believe it or not. So now we're going to just completely redo the selection. So here we go. We're going to go right down here. You know, I might go up the nose a little more right here. Make it connect. Alright, so now what we want to do is change the feather to 20.9 pixels. That is why we copied it. And actually, I didn't even really think about it, but we might want to redraw the thing since we just now put in the feather. So we'll go with that, and perfect. So now what we are going to want to do is make sure we are still on the blur tab, and we're going to go down to filter, go to blur, and we're going to apply yet another Gaussian blur. So we zoom in on this and just look at the details. Look what happens whenever we bump up the pixels. As you can see, if you go too far, it's going to look like burnt skin, but you know, this is what it looks like normally. As we bump it up, we're going to see the skin lighten up and smoothen. So we're going to just assume that 30.3 is good, and just hit OK on that. And just like that, we have some smooth skin there. So let's go ahead and just try some different areas. You know, what about these spots where the sun is shining? You know, there's a little bit of sweat. We'll just go for the forehead in general. Just select that up, just like that. We're gonna go to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. And just like that, 30.3, you could see the difference. Boom. There's a little bit of, you know, just discoloration and blotchiness in the skin, but whenever we bump it back up to that 30.3, it's all smoothened out, and it still has the texture of skin, so you do not have to worry about it looking completely artificial unless you just bump it up to, you know, like 40, 50. But of course, play around with it because it varies per image. So, you know, just try not to make it look too fake. I'm sure you can be a good judge of what looks fake and what's not. So I'm just gonna go down here, you know, select another piece of the image, you know, go for the chin and jawbone, go down to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. And just like that, we have more smooth skin, and it's starting to look better. You know, we're gonna go down here just because it looks to be a little bit of redness on the torso. No big deal. Just do a nice little trapezoid there, and same thing, Gaussian blur. And we might want to tone this one down just so it doesn't look as fake. And just like that, we are pretty much done with the image. that is pretty much all there is to frequency separation. I know I'm not the most proficient at explaining, the mechanics behind the decisions we have made to get to this point, but it looks good now, and that's all you really needed. So thank you for tuning in to my tutorial. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, drop a sub, slap a like on the video, drop a comment, tell me what you want to learn in Photoshop or Lightroom. I don't really care. Tell me anything you want to learn in general, and I might do my best to teach you on my channel at BrandonsFilms. And then, like I said, I do a lot of photography myself, so if you want to follow me at BrandonsFilms on Twitter or Instagram or pretty much any other social media, go ahead and follow me. And, if you have any questions further past this video, you can DM me, anything like that. But, yeah, like I said, thank you for watching this video. And I believe that is all I have to offer. So, goodbye.